Hello, my fascinating Renaissance friends. The quality of our relationships determines the quality of our life and also the length of it. That's a paraphrase from an 85-year long research on happiness as well as longevity. Ah, this is Miss Malu Cervantes, your life coach and co-sojourner in our Autumn of Our Life, and this is episode 140. No, 144. Okay, sorry, episode 144. Okay, let me read to you a statement from that study. Okay? It says, people often think youthfulness is a matter of skincare or supplements. Okay? Supplements. But the Harvard study of adult development, okay, the longest running study on happiness, found something else entirely. Okay? People who maintain warm, trusting relationships age better, live longer, and stay sharper. I like that. Okay, age better, live longer, stay sharper. It's not how many people you know, it's how safe and seen you feel. Okay? That's the that's the most important, sentence there in that study, which I paraphrased, just a second ago. Okay, so in episode 140, okay, I mentioned that chronic stress triggers stress hormones, cortisol, okay, and norepinephrine, okay, that accelerate cellular aging. It says norepinephrine. Okay, that's what it says. Accelerate cellular aging, especially shortening of telomeres, which we talked about, shortens life. Now, every genuine connection releases oxytocin, right? Oxytocin, and it's called the bonding hormone, which not only enhances mood, you see, that's what oxytocin does. Okay, it enhances moods, but it also reduces oxidative stress, which is a key factor in aging, faster. So our bodies literally glow, right, when we feel safe, seen, heard, and appreciated. See, our bodies literally glow when we feel safe, heard, seen, appreciated. The warmth of connection shows in our eyes and skin, what people call radiance or glow. We talked about that, in the last episode, isn't it? Okay, so as we mature, this is the psychology of selectivity. Okay, as we mature, we intuitively prune social networks. Prune is cut. Okay, said a phenomenon called, there's a phenomenon, I didn't realize that. It says social emotional selectivity theory. Oh, social emotional selectivity theory by Stanford psychologist Laura Carstensen. Carstensen. Okay, so we talked about, so this is now what? Stanford. We had we talked about Ellen Langer, the Harvard psychologist. We had somebody from Yale. Now we have Stanford. Okay, the social emotional selectivity theory, meaning, okay, as we mature, we intuitively cut the number of people and relationships that we maintain. Okay, because we shift from popularity to seeking emotional depth and meaning. In short, from many, many friends that we see only maybe, not very frequently, all we do is just, talk, all we do is just talk about the weather, talk about somebody else's lives, and just have fun. we are already cutting those kinds of relationships. We maintain very, very few friendships where we can actually talk for hours, discuss, so things which have emotional depth and meaning. All right. So I'm talking about myself now. I agree with this theory. I didn't think that there's such a theory. I just thought it's just me. Why do I feel this way? I used to enjoy the company of such and such a woman, but right now what we talk about, it drains me instead of energizes me. Why? We just talk about all the trauma, that she hasn't gotten over with, the trauma from her mom. And her mom is what, going on 90, and it's still like that. Okay. So at this stage of my life, I no longer crave a crowd. I crave what? Depth, depth, and authenticity. I'd rather have a quiet conversation, okay, with one or two people, okay, that nourishes my soul instead of shallow interactions that drain my energy. I really thought this is just about me, and I really thought it's very cold of me. No, no. And I know something's not wrong with me because I thought something's wrong with me. Okay, I'm getting cold, I'm distancing. No, no. Because at this age, there's such a thing as a social emotional selectivity theory, because I would rather have what? Very, very quiet conversations, very deep conversations with one or two people, okay, over coffee that lasts for 2 hours, or maybe that lasts till dinner. Sometimes we would meet in the morning. Okay, we would just have, like lunch, then we had coffee in our favorite coffee shop. Before we know it, it's time for dinner, and we had like dinner. Literally, we're together for one whole day, and we are still alive. Those are the kinds of encounters I want. Okay? It's not withdrawal, I realize. It's just wisdom. Okay? So choosing quality relationships mean protecting your emotional energy, and that in turn protects your biological youth. Oh my gosh, I didn't think of it that way. Choosing quality relationships means protecting your emotional energy, and that in turn protects your biological youth. So instead of feeling drained, you are actually being nourished. Oh my, I didn't think of that. So, okay, so it could mean a person who truly gets you. Let me, why would it matter? Why would it matter? This thing about depth and all of that. Okay, let me draw from my own experience. Okay, what is what's depth? Okay, meaning, instead of asking, okay, what's happening there, etc., etc., it's really you ask existential questions like, what's the meaning of life? Okay, what is the purpose? Why we were created to begin with by Almighty God? Do we have a purpose? Okay, what is our calling? What have we learned from the trials, from the pain, from the wounds, that we have experienced here? How can we become better individuals? How can we serve the community? Things like that. Okay, and I realize it is not about just what's happening. It's transcending what's happening. Okay, so you have the Israel Hamas war, which is okay, which is supposed to have been resolved, but you have the wounds, the trauma of all of this, and what's happening in my country, what's happening in UK, and all of course we are all affected by it. But how do we transcend that? That's the key here. So when people say or tell me that you are beautiful inside and outside, I realize what they're actually witnessing is the glow of emotional coherence, the alignment of my inner peace with my outer presence there. Because I have made peace with that, that, we cannot change the world, but we can become better individuals. We cannot change the world, but we can change ourselves by becoming what? By becoming, kinder, more compassionate, and things like that. Radiance, as I've said in the previous episode, is not painted, it is emanated. It's coming outside, from the inside. True beauty, is the light of a peaceful soul, okay, shining through a grateful heart. I like that statement. Okay, I borrowed this from somewhere. True beauty is the light of a peaceful soul, okay, shining through a grateful heart. Okay? So, how do we maintain coherence? The inside and the outside the same. Okay, if you want to look younger, love, okay, genuinely and deeply. If you want to glow, forgive quickly. If you want to stay radiant, stay true to yourself. Do not compare yourself with anybody else because you are unique, okay? Okay, and let only those who honor your true self be invited to your inner circle, because you do not want to dissipate your energy, by sharing with people who don't actually care about us. Okay? Next week is the finale. Okay, aging without growing old. My. Okay, wait for that. That's our next week's episode. Until then, remember, youth is not just a time of life. It is a state of being. And here in the My Season of Life program, 60 years and beyond, your life coach, Miss Malu Cervantes, is actually traveling with you, sojourning with you in navigating this beautiful season of our life, the autumn of life. Okay? Until then, sayonara.